Friends, family, and survivors. Well, I did a little service on the mill, re-leveled it, and set the lead on the guide rollers. And that's a happy thing. Changed out the guide rollers while I was at it. Changed the oil and filter and put a new fuel system in it all the way with a new fuel filter. And it's got a new battery, and I think it's loving life. And I got a nice sized log chucked up there, about, what is that, 24 inches at the butt, 26 maybe. And we've got the rafter kit for the shed extensions. What I need 56 of those, so I may have to mill a few more. Don't know what's there. And Dad went out, and Dad and Ed went out and got a bunch of logs. So the log truck with the loading arch just loads those. It's a 19-footer. It's a 23-inch, 19-foot green Douglas fir, and the truck just loads those just fine. And it's so nice to not have to take 2 rigs and 2 trailers. The truck just hauls those logs beautifully all by itself. So the loading arch was worth making, that's for sure. A little disappointment on the Alpenlight. The refrigerator works great on electric. It gets plenty cold, and it works on propane, but once a day it throws a fault code and you have to turn it off and back on again. Well, I'm pretty sure it just needs a new control board, and I did find a company that makes the board still. You have to shop around. One company wanted $312, but I found another distributor for the same board, $178. So while I was at it, I went ahead and got an igniter and a thermocouple, but the control board's behind that. And it's just got to happen. You know what? I'll have $350 into it, but it's what, $1,700 or better for a new refrigerator. So you got to do what you got to do. So Dad and I got this solar panel mounted. I'm going to back up without falling off the bank here. So that's got a stanchion. It's on hinges at the top. It's got a stanchion that goes underneath that. And so this whole thing just hinges right out to 43.5-degree angle. And it's hooked up, making power and doing good. So that's a happy thing. There's the truck with the loading arch, and that arch swings over, grabs logs and picks them up and sets them right on there with that winch. And Dad's 87 and Ed's in his mid-70s, and they just went out and did logging. Brought a mess of logs home. So that's the reason why I've got to get the propane fixed. This is the refrigerator running another 3 hours to go for a 24-hour period, I think. Yeah, it's been running 20 hours. And it's 2.1 kilowatts. And here's the reason why. 283 watts continuous. So if you wanted to run your refrigerator on electric, that is horrible efficiency. A compressor type, AC compressor type, wouldn't take anywhere near that much power. Nowhere near. In fact, my refrigerator that we off-grid in our other home 440 watt hours a day, and that one's already 2 kilowatts in less than 24 hours. So here's the Dometic. It's it makes ice. You know, it's just frozen solid. All that works good. And if I switch it over to propane, if I hit that button right there, it'll switch over and it'll light. And it lights and it runs for about 15 hours. And then it quits. And I get a fault code. So I'm thinking it's the board. Because what the board is, the way it works is when you plug it into shore power, it automatically switches over. So it must be getting confused. But that's a sizable refrigerator. And last time I priced these 15 years ago, you're talking $1,700. And I don't want to do that if I can help it. I've got such a mess going on in here. I put a new muffler on the backup diesel. This is the one I'll take up on the mountain. I'm starting to stage some tools and stuff that I know I need to take up there. So I'll use this one during the construction process, and after we get the Jenny shed built, I'll move the other generator up. And there's just no comparison at all in power and quality of power. This one, the governor, doesn't work very well. When I load it, the cycles drift pretty bad. And the other one's spot on. And this one also is a brushless capacitor type. So you'll get a lot of voltage drift, where the other one has got an AVR. So it's just a whole lot smoother power, and then the peak-to-peak voltage on the other one is over 350 peak-to-peak on the sine wave, and this one's about 250. So that'll tell you that if you wanted to get any power out of that generator at all, charging batteries, you better have a power factor corrected charger. You're just not going to get much out of this thing. But it runs skill saws and compressors just fine, and that's what it's going to be doing. Yep, so put the wear and tear on this one and save the Yanmar for when we are up there. And then when we're in the house, we'll use the other Jenny to charge the batteries. I have so much stuff I need to store up there, but I've got to get the storage sheds up there first. But what I did is I ran this little portable compressor. I'll bring the big ones up later, but I ran this portable compressor, a 1500 watt heater, and the skill saw at the same time. Handled it without any problem. That'll be all my needs for construction. I'm sure it'll be fine. That is a nice log. So these rafters, because of the span that we're using, these are extensions for the sheds. There's 4 roof extensions, and they'll have standing rib metal roofing. But because of the span, we were cheating just a little bit. So we went ahead and made these a full 6-inch rather than, 1.5 by 5.5 or inch and 9/16 by 5 9/16. It's inch and 9/16 by a full 6. And give us a little extra strength. I was hoping to load this shed today, but I just too much going on, and I go in for surgery tomorrow, and then I'm not supposed to lift more than 10 pounds for 2 weeks. So I figured out how to mount these solar panels on the roof, and I'll have to wait for that as well. But that'll give us 210 watts on the roof. And I load tested the inverter. I put that compressor and a 500 watt light on the little inverter, and it sustained it. It was 65 amps at 12 volts and holding fine. Of course, the fan came on. The fan only runs when it gets hot, but the fan on the inverter came on, and it handled the load just fine. And I won't ever need it to do more than that. Mostly it's for, charging the Milwaukee, that kind of stuff. I also load tested both batteries individually and put a 100 amp load on them to test to see how they fell off. And I could tell the batteries aren't brand new. I think they've been sitting for a long time. So I took them down to 60%, and now I'm putting a really heavy, more than C10. What a C10 would be a 20 amp, 22 amps specifically, and I'm pushing about 30 amps right now. Power factor corrected. Gotta have one. So, yeah, I'm deliberately overcharging the batteries, letting them equalize together, get them to gas a little bit, stir those plates, and I may take it down to 60% again and then put a real aggressive charge on it again. They've just been sitting on a trickle charger, mostly unused since they were bought new just a couple of years ago. So this is a little portable vise, and you just grab that board. Dad made that so I could, otherwise the vise hits if you clamp this to this, and that handle hits. So he made me a little oak board that I could just screw down to the workbench, so I'll have a vise up on the mountain, and that'll help. And a nice screwdriver set that was donated for the mission, and a nice bag, and a bunch of tools were donated for the mission, so that'll help outfit up on the mountain. And that's what we're going to be doing is, I will be teaching there in the church and pastoring, but the missionary part is helping hurting people with life. And a lot of them are off-grid, and they're struggling to get any kind of power at all, trying to get water, trying to get their septic systems in, putting their solar systems together, patching roofs in old trailers, installing wood stoves without burning the house down. Just really a lot of need up there in the process of helping people, right? Then you get to talk about the things that are important, because people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. See, the human spirit has the ability to discern altruism. They can tell whether you really care about them or you're just doing your little Christian thing. Oh, how nice. You're witnessing for Jesus. How sweet of you. No thanks. That's what happens a lot. But when they know that you love them and you spend time with them and you care about them, then their heart opens up. And then you can share with them the truth that's in Jesus. So that's why we're going. We're excited about it. A little different than pastoring. Been pastoring many, many years. And I still will be doing that, but it'll take on a little different form. Missionary work is different. My wife will be at my side, and we're just going to go bless people with whatever they need, what their needs are, minister to their needs, right? So we're excited about that. Get this surgery out of the way, and hopefully we'll be on the move. Hope everybody's doing well. Have a blessed night.